or you can move your desk. So, you know, choose someone to read. You don't have very much there. Read and discuss that last bit on page 100 that we didn't get to cover last time. And you can, you know, move a chair if you need to, whatever you need to do, so that you can all hear each other without causing a problem for the other two groups. And just finish up page 100. Okay, so the very first thing that we need to know is, what are we going to read today? What does that say at the top of the page? The partner's tale. So what's a partner? And, yes, it's called the partner's tale. Remember, Shakespeare, Chaucer's writing a group of tales, a group of stories told by all of these pilgrims, all right? So we need to know what a partner is before we continue with this. So right up there at the top where it says build background. Do you see that? Mm-hmm. Read that for us, Leandra. Down at the literary element. What's the literary element for this story? It's one of my favorite, okay? And irony has there are three different types of irony. But let's write down, I want you in your notes so that you can use it in your test, of course, to write down some definitions of irony and types of irony, okay? Now, right here it tells us irony is a contrast or discrepancy between expectation and reality, and then in bold we know that there's what kind of irony? Situational. Number 2, dramatic. Number 3, verbal. So we're going to be talking about those 3 things as we go today. Irony is a literary device. Always think about it as a literary device. We use the word ironic in our daily lives all the time, but irony really is best examined under a microscope when we're looking at it literarily. So, a literary device or mode of expression through words or events that conveys a reality different from and usually opposite to appearance or expectation. So, verbal irony, the writer's meaning or even his attitude may be different from what he says. And this is where we use it most often in our own daily lives. Why no one would dare argue that there could be anything more important in choosing a college than its proximity to the beach. Irony is most common and most efficient in satire, okay, when it is used by a satirist, because it is an instrument of truth that provides wit and humor and is critical, but not directly critical. It's always oblique, okay? It's never a direct slam on someone or something. It's always can be understood from more than one point of view. And so the satirist protects himself from very much criticism. And then don't forget what we talked about a moment ago. A moral is a lesson learned from a story. And so when you get to the end of this, I want you to be thinking about, so what's the moral of the story? It's not quite a fable because animals are not involved, but it's an exemplar, which is not unlike a fable, where it's told, it's designed in order to teach the audience a lesson. Okay? Now, we've moved from Old English into Middle English, so we should have a much easier time understanding. And of course, this is a translation. So none of the language will be difficult for you. It will just be sentence structure and usage. So what do you do as we're reading if you need help? Yes, you make me stop, right? Yes. Are you ready? Any questions before we begin? Before we begin? Nope.
It's of 3 rioters, I have to tell, who long before the morning service bell were sitting in a tavern for a drink. And as they sat, they heard the handbell clink. Before a coffin going to the grave, one of them called the little tavern knave and said, "Go and find out at once, look spry, whose corpse is in that coffin passing by. And see you get the name correctly, too." "Sir," said the boy, "no need, I promise you. 2 hours before you came here, I was told. He was a friend of yours in days of old. And suddenly, last night, the man was slain. Upon his bench, face up, dead drunk again. There came a privy thief, they call him Death, who kills us all round here, and in a breath he speared him through the heart, he never stirred. And then Death went his way without a word. He's killed 1,000 in the present plague, and sir, it doesn't do to be too vague. If you should meet him, you had best be wary. Be on your guard with such an adversary. Be primed to meet him everywhere you go.
Let's just look at those first lines there because we see an obvious break, and talk about this exposition. The principal players, who's involved and what's happened.
3 riders.
And what's a rider?
People go to the stream, who report debauchery.
What does that mean?
No idea.
Right. What's a rider? And it says there, and you read it, unrestrained revelry and debauchery. Okay, new words. Revelry is partying. Debauchery is that is unsavory,
We had
unseemly.
debauchery in Battle.
Yes, you did. And we saw it more in the movie than we did in the text, didn't we? And how was it characterized? What sort of behaviors?
Sexual and greedy.
Exactly, precisely. And these, where are they?
Bar.
In a bar, exactly. Okay, they're in a tavern. And who says what to whom? What did they hear that prompts a conversation to begin with?
Bell.
What bell?
Sunday school service bell.
Where?
The church.
Look at it very carefully. Because actually the reading was poor between lines 4 and 5. She stopped and then she started line 5 as if though it weren't related to
Were
line
they
4.
in a tavern when they heard it?
They heard the bell, yes.
At a funeral.
Okay, the bell is, and look at 4 and 5. They heard the handbell clink before a coffin going to a grave. That means someone's walking where? Yes, exactly. And the person with the bell's walking where? Just in front of the coffin. That's what before there means. It's not about time, it's about place here. Okay? So, one of them does what? One of the 3 riders does what?
Called the little tavern.
Yes, exactly. What's a tavern knave?
The servant boy.
Exactly, servant. He says what to him?
Find out who died.
Go find out who that is who died. And what does the little tavern knave reply?
He doesn't need to. He knows what happened. He knows who it is.
I already know. I can tell you. And what does he say?
It was an old friend of his.
Mm-hmm.
He was drunk, is that what it says?
Drunk when? Look at line 14.
On the bench faced up, dead drunk again.
Drunk again. Okay. So they want to know who killed their friend, right?
So somebody killed him?
Well, I don't know. Did someone kill
They
him?
say
What was it?
they call him dead.
Yeah. What's kind of funny about that? Kind of interesting about that?
That kills everybody.
Death what?
That's it. It's the reason. I don't know.
People die because of death, but it's
Kind of.
Yeah. Doesn't death kill all of us? Exactly. What they're doing there is personification. Okay? Giving death an option, a choice. Okay? Questions? None?
The publican joined in with, "By St. Mary, what the child says is right, you'd best be wary. This very year he killed, in a large village, a mile away, man, woman, serf at tillage, page in the household, children, all there were. Yes, I imagine that he lives round there. It's well to be prepared in these alarms. He might do you dishonor." "Huh, God's arms," the rioter said. "Is he so fierce to meet? I'll search for him by Jesus, street by street. God's blessed bones, I'll register a vow. Here, chaps, the 3 of us together now. Hold up your hands, like me, and we'll be brothers in this affair, and each defend the others. And we will kill this traitor Death, I say."
Okay. who are the only kind of people in the world who would go looking for death, go in search of death to kill it?
Not very small people.
That's all I'm saying. Drunks. You said it right there. That is something a drunk would say, isn't it? Let's go slay this death.
They made their bargain, swore with appetite, these three to live and die for one another, as brother born might swear to his born brother. And up they started in their drunken rage, and made towards this village which the page and publican had spoken of before. Many and grisly were the oaths they swore, tearing Christ's blessed body to a shred. If we can only catch him, death is dead. When they had gone not fully half a mile, just as they were about to cross a stile, they came upon a very poor old man, who humbly greeted them, and thus began. God look to you, my lords, and give you quiet. To which the proudest of these men of riot gave back the answer, What, old fool, give place. Why are you all wrapped up except your face? Why live so long? Isn't it time to die? The old fellow looked him in the eye, and said, Because I never yet have found, though I have walked to India, searching round, village and city on my pilgrimage, one who would change his youth to have my age. And so my age is mine, and must be still, upon me for such time as God may will. Not even death, alas, will take my life. So like a wretched prisoner at strife, within himself I walk alone and wait about the earth which is my mother's gate, knocking with my staff from night to noon, and crying, Mother, open to me soon. Look at me, mother, won't you let me in? See how I wither, flesh and blood and skin. Alas, when will these bones be laid to rest? Mother, I would exchange, for that were best, the wardrobe in my chamber, standing there, so long for yours.
What is the old man looking for?
Well, since it's low, but
And what is he asking this mother for?
to open to him soon.
Look at line 67. Yes, exactly, Addie. Something to be open to him soon. What's he wanting? Say it again, Kat. Yeah. Look at that. He's been looking for the same thing the Rioters are looking for, isn't he? What's different about their search? His search and theirs.
They want to put them to death,
Yes?
but he wants to be
Yes, definitely.
Yes. Yes. It's a very different type of search, isn't it? Which one has wisdom?
The old man.
The old man has wisdom, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He knows that his time hasn't come yet. Right? Not so much with him.
But it dishonored you when you began to speak so roughly, sir, to an old man, unless he had injured you in word or deed. It says in Holy Writ, as you may read, Thou shalt rise up before the hoary head and honor it. And therefore be it said, Do no more harm to an old man than you, being now young, would have another do when you are old, if you should live till then. And so may God be with you, gentlemen, for I must go whither I have to go. By God, the gambler said, you shan't do so. You don't get off so easy by St. John. I heard you mention just a moment gone a certain traitor Death who singles out and kills the fine young fellows hereabout. And you're his spy, by God. You wait a bit. Say where he is, or you shall pay for it, by God and by the Holy Sacrament. I say you join together by consent to kill us younger folk, you thieving swine. Well, sirs, he said, if it be your design to find out Death, turn up this crooked way towards that grove. I left him there today, under a tree, and there you'll find him waiting. He isn't one to hide for all your prating. You see that oak? He won't be far to find. And God protect you that redeemed mankind, aye, and amend you. Thus that ancient man.
Okay, so what does he say? You know, they seize upon one word. He says death one time, they seize upon it. Oh, you must be friends with that guy, Death. So, and so what does the old man do? Where does he send them?
He's over at
Behind
that
the
tree over
tree.
there.
He sends them to a very specific tree, doesn't he? He sends them to find something very specific. Keep that on the sticky side of your brain.
At once the three young rioters began to run and reach the tree, and there they found a pile of golden florins on the ground, new coined, 8 bushels of them as they thought. No longer was it death those fellows sought, for they were all so thrilled to see the sight, the florins were so beautiful and bright, that down they sat beside the precious pile. The wickedest spoke first after a while. "Brothers," he said, "you listen to what I say. I'm pretty sharp, although I joke away. It's clear that fortune has bestowed this treasure to let us live in jollity and pleasure. Light come, light go, we'll spend it as we ought. God's precious dignity, who would have thought this morning was to be our lucky day? If one could only get the gold away, back to my house, or else to yours perhaps, for as you know, the gold is ours, chaps. We'd all be at the top of fortune, hey? But certainly it can't be done by day. People would call us robbers, a strong gang, so our own property would make us hang. No, we must bring this treasure back by night, some prudent way, and keep it out of sight. And so, as a solution, I propose we draw for lots and see the way it goes. The one who draws the longest, lucky man, shall run to town as quickly as he can to fetch us bread and wine, but keep things dark, while 2 remain in hiding here to mark our heap of treasure. If there's no delay, when night comes down, we'll carry it
He
away."
asked for death, the man sends him to the tree. What do they find?
Gold.
He sent them to gold. How does that, how does that match up? Why would he send them to find a bunch of gold florins if they were seeking death?
Is they trying to get his mind off of it?
Do you think that he might be trying to get their mind off of death?
Or they're gonna find the gold when they take it back, they're gonna meet death.
How would take it back where?
Like, when they take it back to their house, they'll, like he said, they'll get called like robbers or something, and they'll aim for it.
What possible problems could arise from finding this 8 bushels of gold coins?
Could be somebody's, you know.
Well, they could
Belong to someone? Could be stolen?
betray each other for trying to get gold.
So there could be betrayal between the friends among the 3?
Or they fight over who should get more, who should get what.
Not be able to split it evenly?
He gathered lots and hid them in his hand, bidding them draw for where the luck should fall. It fell upon the youngest of them all, and off he ran at once towards the town. As soon as he had gone, the first sat down and thus began a parley with the other. "You know that you can trust me as a brother. Now let me tell you where your profit lies. You know our friend has gone to get supplies, and here's a lot of gold that is to be divided equally amongst us 3. Nevertheless, if I could shape things thus so that we shared it out, the 2 of us, wouldn't you take it as a friendly act?" "But how?" the other said. "He knows the fact that all the gold was left with me and you. What can we tell him? What are we to do?" "Is it a bargain," said the first, "or no? Or I can tell you in a word or so what's to be done to bring the thing about." "Trust me," the other said. "You needn't doubt my word. I won't betray you. I'll be true." "Well," said his friend, "you see that we are 2, and 2 are twice as powerful as 1. Now look, when he comes back, get up in fun to have a wrestle. Then as you attack, I'll up and put my dagger through his back, while you and he are struggling as in game."
The youngest rider runs off to town to get
Supplies, bread and wine.
bread and wine, because, you know, we are drunks after all. So one rider says to the other one, what does he propose exactly?
When he comes back, they kill him and then they split the gold between the 2.
Okay. What's if you were rider number 2, not the first one to speak, what would you see as a possible problem with what rider number 1 is saying?
If he turned on rider number 3, why wouldn't he turn on
Yeah.
his?
Is that possible?
Yeah.
Need to be worried? Because did rider number 2 even consider immediately, well, let's just kill number 3 and we'll split it 2 ways? He couldn't think of a way to do that, could he?
"Divided equally, of course, dear friend. Then we can gratify our lusts and fill the day with dicing at our own sweet will." Thus these 2 miscreants agreed to slay the 3rd and youngest, as you heard me say. The youngest, as he ran towards the town, kept turning over, rolling up and down within his heart the beauty of those bright new florins, saying, "Lord, to think I might have all that treasure to myself alone. Could there be anyone beneath the throne of God so happy as I then should be?" And so the fiend, our common enemy, was given power to put it in his thought that there was always poison to be bought, and that with poison he could kill his friends. To men in such a state the devil sends thoughts of this kind, and has a full permission to lure them on to sorrow and perdition. For this young man was utterly content to kill them both, and never to repent. And on he ran, he had no thought to tarry, came to the town, found an apothecary, and said, "Sell me some poison, if you will. I have a lot of rats I want to kill, and there's a polecat too about my yard, that takes my chickens and it hits me hard. But I'll get even, as is only right, with vermin that destroy a man by night." The chemist answered, "I've a preparation which you shall have, and by my soul's salvation, if any living creature eat or drink a mouthful ere he has the time to think, though he took less than makes a grain of wheat, you'll see him fall down dying at your feet."
Now, what did rider number 1 not count on?
Yeah, I'm trying on number 3, trying to get above them. Right.
And what does he choose to use?
Poison.
Poison in what? Poison the what?
We're gonna meet that. We're all gonna die.
This cursed fellow grabbed into his hand the box of poison, and away he ran into a neighboring street, and found a man who lent him 3 large bottles. He withdrew, and deftly poured the poison into 2. He kept the 3rd one clean as well he might, for his own drink, meaning to work all night stacking the gold and carrying it away. And when this rioter, this devil's clay, had filled his bottles up with wine, all 3, back to rejoin his comrades sauntered he. Why make a sermon of it? Why waste breath? Exactly in the way they'd planned his death, they fell on him and slew him 2 to 1. Then said the first of them when this was done, "Now for a drink. Sit down and let's be merry, for later on there'll be the corpse to bury." And as it happened, reaching for a sup, he took a bottle of poison up and drank, and his companion, nothing loath, drank from it also, and they perished both. There is, in Avicenna's long relation concerning poison and its operation, trust me, no ghastlier section to transcend what these 2 wretches suffered at their end.
So, I said be thinking about morals. If there were a moral to the story, talk on your row and decide what you think the moral of the story would be. And then be prepared to share it with the group.
No, I think it would be like,
Who's they?
maybe like the definitely why you think that it's really cool and not be greedy or put it into
I think you're gonna get what you look for.
What?
Savannah, what do y'all think
don't be greedy.
Okay.
Greedy will get you nothing.
in the end?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Middle row?
We'll get back to you.
We'll get back to you. Front row, who's yours?
You usually get what you go out looking for.
That's what I was gonna say.
Okay, y'all talk and decide what you think. Does it have to be, does there have to be something completely different from what the back row or the front row said? No, not necessarily.
Oh, yeah. Brittany had a good one.
Yeah, the golden rule fits here, doesn't it? When you go back and you look at what the older, wiser gentleman had to say, now it's a little bit more meaningful. Go back to like about line 109. 102.
Oh, about under a tree and there you'll find him waiting.
Yes. They thought that they were lucky finding gold, but he really sent them to what? And Chad said it when we were reading. He said, "Oh, they're all going to find death today," and they did. All right, you need a pen and to spread your